Okay, dokie, people. Hopefully, you're having a fantastic weekend. And we're going to finish off with a bang because it's a Sunday night where you are. It's a Monday morning where we are. Badaki, happy birthday. It was Badaki's birthday yesterday. 2 days ago. 2 days ago is Badaki's birthday.
Technically, it was yesterday. But my birthday is technically now in America. So...
Right. So today is actually Badaki's birthday in the great US of A. So wish him a happy birthday. Do him a favor and hit that like button, subscribe. I mean, anything you want the community to give you for your birthday, I guess?
I just want everyone that's in the chat currently to donate as much money as you possibly can right now. Maybe everything in your bank account personally. Genuinely, I need that right now.
I'm not going to ask for much, just like as much as will possibly not put you into poverty.
I need your net worth. I need it all in the chat currently.
Oh my goodness, you're crazy. All right, well, thanks for joining us. Obviously, Badaki's joking, but Hannah already donated a $5 super chat, so big shout out to Hannah.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We appreciate you big time. 30? Right?
31.
31. Okay, 31 years
31.
old.
What's crazy is that 31 and I'm sick. I had COVID.
Yeah.
It's pretty shit. I'm still on the back end of this, but I'm here. I'm here with the crew.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Thanks for joining us, guys. We see you in the chat. Lloyd says happy birthday, dude. D Stone, Nell said, or Dirty Bird says happy birthday. Maddie says happy birthday. Sham Man and RJS all say happy birthday to you. What's up, Gage? Welcome in. How we doing? How we doing? Joel says Malik Neighbors' first purchase with his rookie deal is spending dollars at the strippy. You love to see it. Did you see that video?
Yeah, I'm there to support, man.
Throwing hundreds at the strip club. Before he takes it down in the NFL.
He actually said that the first purchase he made was that he bought his mom my house.
Okay.
But then he went to the strip
straight to the strip club. But okay, guys, we're going to start today's stream off with a little Q&A, and then we will go to reviewing some people's Dynasty teams. Just so you guys know how this works, any super chat will get prioritized. It will get answered first. Otherwise, we will go in order from top to bottom. Do us a favor, hit that like button to show some love. But first super chat is from Matthew. He says 12-team non-tight end premium, thin at wide receiver. Would you trade Dotson in a second for Josh Downs and Michael Wilson? Happy birthday. Thank you for all you do. To Badaki.
We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
No tight end premium. Would you trade Dotson in a second for Downs and Michael Wilson? And I have to say I'm very strongly on the no side.
I completely agree.
I don't want to say none of those guys are worth a second round pick, but I don't think you're really improving that much at all.
I agree, and I feel like the guy with the highest upside, in my opinion, there. For me, it's still Jahan Dotson. I love Michael Wilson, but Jahan Dotson can still be something if, obviously, a lot of things has to work out. If they don't get Brandon Ayuk, if Jaden Daniels is the quarterback that we're hoping that he is, Jahan Dotson can hopefully come back to life here, especially with the new offensive coordinator and Cliff Kingsbury. So I'm still holding on to the hope in Dotson over Michael Wilson and Josh Downs still.
Yeah, I'd say this, like, at best, the career outcome for Dotson and Downs, you're hoping for like a Tyler Lockett career arc, you know? So none of these guys are probably ever going to be, you know, a top 12, top 20 asset in Dynasty. And I don't think Michael Wilson should cost that. And we love Michael Wilson. We've been telling y'all to buy him all last offseason as well when he was like wide receiver 83 in Dynasty or something. But this feels like too much to pay for Downs and Michael Wilson. Two guys that we don't even know if you can start this year. You know, I'd rather keep that draft pick. That draft pick is not going to lose value. Do you know what I'm saying? What's up, Steven? Thank you for the donation, man. I'm sure that's just to say happy birthday to you, Badaki. All right, like we said, we are going to do Q&A. Super chats get answered first, then we'll go in order. CJ with the next donation here. He says, I just traded Devontae Adams in a fourth for a mid to late 26 first. I'm a win now team. Did I mess up? Absolutely not. I don't think you messed up. I think you got a first round pick in an economy where no one's paying first round picks for Devontae Adams.
I agree. No one's paying. Yeah, I completely agree. You didn't mess up there. Even if it's in 2026, no way you're getting the first for Devontae Adams anytime soon.
No,
Currently, so I completely agree.
But Aki, any league you and I have Devontae Adams in right now, we could not get a first round pick for him.
Yeah, no way.
I would take a 27 first round pick just because, like, I know that asset's not going to lose value. I know that pick is going to be more valuable when it's time to make that pick than Devontae Adams. It's inevitable.
Yeah, and we saw. I mean, Devontae Adams finishes a top 10 wide receiver this past year, and he's not worth a first round pick. And that's not going to be. I mean, the expectation is that it's not going to get any higher, in my opinion.
The one
going
caveat
into this year
is if someone invents a time machine, because you bring Devontae Adams back 5 years ago, then you lose that deal. That's the only way you lose the deal.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Like we said, live Q&A, super chats do get answered straight away. Tyler says 12 team Superflex 0.75 tight end premium star 11. Allen Watson CMC, he's giving us his roster here. I'm looking through it. He says trade Marv for Worthy Coleman and the 25 101 or 101 or 102, I guess. You're playing a game here that I don't really want to play. I just keep Marv.
Yeah, I keep Marv. And I mean, we don't even know what that 101 or 102 is. If that player is going to be more valuable than Marvin Harrison Jr. currently.
I bet that they won't be, but
yeah, and that's what kind of I'm alluding to. Yeah. Like we don't really. I'm not saying we don't have the confidence in the 25 class, but right now where we have confidence is the running back position, and where we don't have confidence in is the quarterback position.
Yeah.
And you're probably at best is going to get another wide receiver that's not the same level of Marvin Harrison Jr. currently. So
you're probably looking at a Luther Burden, a Tet McMillan, great players, right? They wouldn't be in the top 3 of my receivers this year. Burden might slip in there. It's too hard to say, but it's a lot of hypotheticals rather than like you get like the guy now. And yeah, it could be a running back. It's a great running back class, but no, I think, even in a start 11, it's a deep, that needs to not be Worthy and Coleman. That needs to be like Worthy and Pittman. That needs to be Worthy and Waddle or something. Like Waddle might be too much, but Worthy and like it needs to be someone that I actually know that I can build around. No disrespect to Worthy or Coleman, but at the moment it's still up in the air for those two guys. But
yeah, all right, I agree.
Those are all the donations for now. Remember, if you want your question answered straight away, super chat will get the job done. But the first question at the top that I can see is from Snoop Blunt, or actually it's from Joel. Or who's up at the top? Can you see that up at the top?
I cannot see that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I see Snoop Blunt.
Yeah. He says, yo, what's paying too much for Tyreek? I'm clearly a contender looking to add power at wide receiver. Yeah, a first round pick at this point. You shouldn't pay more than a first round pick. Maybe you give them a first and I'm trying to think of like a name that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, he said
Williams.
Chris Godwin in a first or a second for Tyreek Hill. I'm okay with Chris Godwin in the first, personally.
Yeah, I think in that deal you try and get a second back. So Chris Godwin in a first for Tyreek in a second.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Let's see here. Love that Gage. Ronald says Tyreek's a big time buy. What's up, Albert? Welcome in, my man. Dirty Bird says in a startup, could you guys look at the general tab in Discord? This feels like a very detailed request here, brother. Okay. All right.
If it's not the first one, then I'm not seeing it.
I don't see anything in the Fantasyland General Discord tab. I don't
maybe put it in the chat here, brother. It's probably easier to put it in the chat if you can.
I don't see it. We did just get a super chat. Super chats will get answered straight away. Daniel says, is London, Marvin, Neighbors, Adunze, Ladd, Polk, Jason a good enough wide receiver room to compete in a 10-team start 9? London, Marvin, Neighbors, Adunze, Ladd.
I think there's a lot of upside guys. Yeah, there's a lot of upside guys. You have to keep in mind that these are rookie wide receivers that you're putting your hopes into, right? I mean, outside of London and JSN, of course, Everyone else is a rookie wide receiver that we don't know, and we're just projecting what they're going to be for their offense. Some guys we have higher than others, and some guys we have lower. Like we don't know what Rome Odunze is going to be with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. Lam
Yeah.
McConkey, what is he going to potentially be? Jalen Polk, is he even going to be the number one, or is it going to be Demario Douglas? Right, a lot of people believe that. So there's a lot of question marks.
You know,
and it will be.
You'll have probably some teams in your you'll probably have some teams in your league that have older wide receivers, and if in a start 10, those type of superstars, like let's say there's a team in your league that has a Tyreek, they've also got a DJ Moore, they've got a Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, Debo Samuel, like that team is probably going to outproduce you this year, but long term, I think you have enough superstar power there. I mean, you've got 3 names. You've got 4 names that are eligible for top 10 ranking in Dynasty with London, Marvin, Neighbors, and Odunze. So yeah, at some point it should be, but right now I wouldn't say like that's the team that's going to win it right now. Marvin and Neighbors could have great rookie years, so could Odunze, but you know, eventually yes.
Eventually.
But wouldn't say straight away. All right.
Yeah,
next,
I completely agree.
Next regular question is from Nell. Member Super Chat gets you put up straight into the front of the queue. But Nell says Leggett and Polk for Metcalf. Give me Metcalf pretty easily there.
Yeah, I'll take Metcalf still.
Daniel says, will Marvin Harrison Jr. or Neighbors be solid wide receiver 2s on a competitive team? I believe they should be.
Yeah, I believe they will.
It is
100%.
Badaki's birthday, Alec. Biggie Cheese says Toby Maguire was bit by a spider. You two were bit by a goat, which you love to see. What's up, Joel? Joel says best ball, Brian Thomas or JSN? That's a fantastic question, actually.
That is a great question. I think I'm going JSN.
I want to quickly reference my rankings because my rankings have my projections, and I feel better about that. Yeah, JSN for me. Yeah, but I will acknowledge that I do think Brian has a larger ceiling. Like range of outcome ceiling, right? Okay, Dirty Bird says in a 14-team Superflex currently have Lamar and Jaden. Want to take my third quarterback. Levis, Kirk, Nix, Rodgers, Penix, or Stafford are available. 14-team Superflex. He's already got Lamar and Jaden. In a 14-team Superflex, that's going to be a huge benefit to your roster to have 2 names like that. I would feel comfortable at this point taking the risk on a Levis over like a vet like a Kirk and a Rodgers personally. Yeah,
that's where I will go with the 2 youngest guys, or 3 youngest guys technically. Levis, Nix, or Penix. However order you want to go about that. I'm happy with either of those 3.
Just looking at my rankings, I would personally have Nix, but I know that's not going to be popular. If I knew Michael Penix started in the year, it'd be Penix pretty easily over all these names. But Levis, I think you'll find out real soon. So big hit or miss opportunity there.
No question.
Let's see. The Sham Man says, would you trade either Olave and Wilson or Olave and Neighbors for Lamb and the 108? No, 1 quarterback.
In this year's draft? Or
I think so. I would say, oh my God, that's a...
What's the 108 and 1 quarterback?
Honestly, though, I don't know that... Okay, it's a start 8. I don't know if I want to do that.
What's 108? What's 108? 1 quarterback.
Jeez, that is a difficult question, man.
That's probably a running back. Brooks, Benson. You get to the second half. You're probably gonna get like the Xaviers, the Adonais, potentially in that range.
Man, the only reason I'm actually doing this is because it's a 1 quarterback start 8.
I would say it really depends on who your wide receiver 2 is. Having CeeDee Lamb is a huge bump, but I think like if that's CeeDee Lamb and his next wide receiver is Cortland Sutton, like, or should we do that?
I don't know.
Probably
not. No.
I mean, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, if your third wide receiver is like a T. Higgins, I'm fine with it. But look, here's this is definitely a difficult question to answer. I mean, like Wilson or Olave is basically asking like, and not to say that they're the most valuable players or anything, but it's basically asking like, in a startup, do I draft Josh Allen or Mahomes? I don't know. They're both like in the same tier. They're both back to back in my rankings, so I can't give you a really good answer on this. I mean, I think Neighbors is the better prospect, but if you're asking me who has a chance to drastically improve their value this year, that's probably Garrett Wilson, considering if Aaron Rodgers can actually stay healthy.
Sure.
But there's the opposite side to both of these players. What if Aaron Rodgers actually is not the same guy and he goes down with another injury? It will be difficult to sell Wilson at this value. So really tough. I think I'd choose to sell Olave and Neighbors, but that really sucks. And actually, yeah, that's tough. I don't know, man. That's difficult. That's probably the least confident answer I've given today.
We did get a super chat. I'm assuming the next one is from CJ.
Uh-huh.
Right? So he says, would you pay an extra to move a 26 first into a 25 player? Yeah.
No, never. I never feel comfortable doing that. Just because we have to recognize that we are historically really, really bad at projecting future classes. 2024, we all thought was going to be fantastic. It was. But historically, we're just not good at projecting what classes are going to be good or not. And I'm not smart enough to do that. Maybe someone else is. CJ said, if you had 5 first, who would you buy in your win now? The bigger question is, what is your roster?
Yeah.
Are you saying you're in a Superflex start 8? Because then we're buying only premium players. Are you saying you're in a Superflex start 12, start 11? Because then it's like, all right, well, I probably would pay a first for, George Pickens pretty easily. And, maybe I'd throw, a first at, DK Metcalf. So I think team construction there is important.
Cameron, man, thank you so much for the super chat. He says, round 10 startup quarterbacks, Joe, Kyler, Goff, Puka, Ayuk, Reed, Kirk, running backs, Brooks. How you feeling? I feel great about it. It looks great. Start 10. Looks like you only have one running back, or maybe you only have to start one running back. I would say
no, he's saying this is round 10 of the start.
Oh, round 10. Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, this is great.
I think this looks exactly how I would build a team: quarterback, wide receiver, and then
you got 3 quarterbacks
running
as well.
backs later on. So, yeah, I really like it, Cameron. If you've watched us do a startup, this is kind of the build we would have. We would not touch running back in the first 5 rounds, and then Brooks was probably your first guy around 6 or 7.
Yeah,
I really, really like this build for you specifically. CJ, we want to answer your super chat, by the way, but maybe you can give us some more information there. But like we said, super chats do get answered straight away. Otherwise, we're going in order. And the next question in order, and let's set a like goal on today's stream. Let's set a like goal of 50 likes. Help us get there, guys. Hit that like button. 50 likes. Almost halfway there. Alec Rice, go ahead.
Yeah, one quarterback said, would you trade Hollywood Brown in a 208 for any 106, 107, or 108 to get Daniels or McConkey? Already have the 103. In a one quarterback, I would.
Oh, in a heartbeat, I'd do this.
No question.
Yeah.
Easily.
But
Austin.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Austin, go ahead.
Yeah, it says, what's a realistic return for CD in a 10-man start 8 non-superflex? Well, you want a premium in a 10-man or in a start 8, excuse me. And you're going from strength to strength. Like you're giving up CeeDee Lamb, but you're getting Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase in return, or somebody of significance, right? Because it's a limited starting starters on your team, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, the only way I'm getting rid of CeeDee Lamb in a start 8 10-man, I mean, CeeDee Lamb is one of the most valuable assets in that format right now. So the only way I'm getting rid of him is if I'm tearing down. I'm getting a Marvin plus 3 first-round picks or something like that crazy, or 2 first-round picks. I'm getting a Malik, a Garrett, an AJ Brown, a London plus more first-round picks. And in most scenarios, we would not suggest trading CeeDee Lamb in a 12-man start 8. So for you to be a 10-man, very unlikely we would ever suggest that.
Yeah, you need an absolute poll there. D Stone says, should I use JSN in a trade package to get a high-end running back, or wait and see if his value can rise higher this year? I don't think his value is at a point where you can go out and trade him depending on the running back that you're trying to acquire. But like you said,
You
in
mean
a
like
package to get a running back.
He's not like a pack-a-punch player that you can add to get a top name at running back right now.
Yeah,
receiver 26
exactly.
on KTC. What is that name? I mean, are you telling me you can send JSN in a first for Bijan? Then yeah, absolutely. But like, if you're saying I have to send JSN in a first for Achane, then no way. You know, or Saquon. You know, absolutely not.
Cool.
So I guess it depends on what name that is.
I agree.
We did just get a super chat from Blind. Super chats do skip the queue there. Thank you for your donation, Blind. He says 12-team Superflex start 10. Bryce Young, late second, or DK a third. Okay, so Bryce Young in a second or DK in a third. He has
The
Anthony
quarterbacks
Richardson, Hurts,
are,
and Geno already. I'll take the DK side then.
Yeah, I'm okay with that, knowing the quarterback situation.
And
Agreed.
I just think that's an even trade. I don't think anyone's winning or losing that deal, by the way. But we still believe in Bryce Young here. If you didn't have Geno Smith, I'd probably lean Bryce Young. I mean, I wonder if you could actually turn this in. I would just see if the guy would be interested. Like, can I counter this and give you Geno and a late second? Don't give me a third in return for DK. Geno in a second for DK. I think that would be my first counter, but I would settle for the DK deal if needed to be.
Yeah, agreed. Back to the top here. If you guys want to skip the queue, all you have to do is put a super chat. Matthew, it looks like. So I'm trying to get Samuel to go with Josh Allen, proposed trade Dotson for Samuel. Okay, wait. Let's try that again. I'm trying to get Samuel to go with Josh Allen, proposed trade Dotson for Samuel. Countered and wanted my second rounder, which will really late. Yeah, no,
absolutely not.
No, thank you.
Like, Samuel is maybe worth a second round pick on his own. You're not going to give him a second round value in Dotson and a second round pick for a guy who's maybe not even worth a second round pick after this year. So no, he's asking for way too much.
Lloyd, right? Lloyd's next.
Yeah, Lloyd. I traded Diggs for Stevenson in a third. We swapped seconds in our free agent draft. Also, I moved up 8 spots. I don't mind the deal overall. I think it's a lateral deal.
Yeah, I agree.
I guess you'd choose Stevenson at this point.
I would. Yeah.
Dirty Bird says, in a 14-man startup, who would be the best for my QB3? We already answered this one, right? Yeah. What's up, Sunraker? So. David says, would you rather trade for Godwin or Deontay, and how much? For me, it's Deontay. But I am starting to get more and more interested in Godwin with the Coach Speak Index.
Yeah.
Talking about how he's going
to
be in the slot. That's really where his best years have come from. And you have to ask, well, was Godwin not used as much last year because Baker didn't have him in the slot? It's something that we have to ask. But at this point, I would say Deontay, because I know Deontay. Personally, I feel more confident that Deontay will lead his team in targets versus Chris Godwin.
Yeah, and they're both the same age, so I think the risk is they're both there, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right, we'll do a couple more questions, and then we're going to get to a team review. By the way, anyone who buys a team review on today's stream, it will be reviewed on today's stream, okay? So if you want your team reviewed by us, we're going to do this in a second. I just put a direct link in the chat. It's also in the pinned comment. If you're watching this later, it's in the comment section. And 2 ways you can get your team reviewed. One, by being a Mother Flocker member on a yearly membership. That's the best bang for your buck. The other option is by going to the a la carte store. No matter what promo code you use at sign up, you can get a team review from us. All right, 5 more questions. Sparrow says, thoughts on this trade? Russ, Najee, the 309, and a mid to late second, or the 112? 12-team Superflex start 9-2 tight ends.
Tight ends.
Probably the most value is probably with Russ and Najee there.
I think I need more.
But he said he did that trade and got McCarthy at the 112. So if you get McCarthy at the 112, I would
I think that's
buy
fine.
McCarthy for that price.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say if you didn't do that trade,
Yeah.
I was like, man, can I get a third or something back?
Yeah. All right, that's question one.
fine.
Question two is from Griffin. He says, I traded Tyreek for Jason, Zamir, and a third. Jason, Shakir, Zamir, and a third. I think I would have rather, like, instead of Shakir and
I don't
Zamir,
love that trade.
I would have rather it been like a first and I send you Tyreek in a second or something.
Yeah, I definitely want like a first guaranteed in any draft or any year, instead of getting some of these guys that you potentially believe in. Like if JSN busts, you're frustrated. I think you already know how I feel about Zamir, and I think he's going to be more of like a one-hit wonder, a one-year wonder. And then Shakira, I mean, he's either the wide receiver 3 on the team, or he could potentially be the wide receiver 1. So I think there's a lot of risk here.
Yeah.
When we look at this trade.
I like Zamir. I really like Zamir as a piece, but I just think for what we've seen Tyreek traded for in leagues, this is potentially an undersell. That's question two. Remember, question three here from Gregory. Would you trade Debo for Kelsey straight? It's start 2 tight ends. I have Pitts, Chig, Bellinger.
Chig.
Yes, I would then. If it start 2 tight ends.
Agreed.
How much did your draft strategy
agreed.
change in a 14-team startup? I guess it depends if it's Superflex or one quarterback. If it's Superflex, I mean, both change. I'll say this. The amount of people matter, but I would say your team construction matters even more. So if you're to tell me it's a start 7-1 quarterback and I can start 3 wide receivers versus a start 11 where I can start 4 or 5 wide receivers, that's where my strategy completely changes. But it does change with more people. I just think team construction is more important.
Yeah.
That's question 3,
Agreed.
right?
Yeah, that's question 4.
Okay, so last question is from bball3710. He says, 12-team Superflex, is it enough to send Carr and 2 25 thirds to get Mayfield? I think that's a discount on Mayfield. So if you can get Mayfield 100%. For that, I would love it.
Completely agree there.
All right, guys, we are going to go to the portion where we review people's dynasty teams on the show today. So do us a favor, hit that like button. Thank you for all the super chats. Thanks for all the, questions. We appreciate you, but it is time to help people with their dynasty teams. So let's go ahead and get down to it. Reminder, if you want your team reviewed, anyone who buys a team review on today's stream, we are guaranteeing you that we'll review it on today's stream. You buy one today, you get it reviewed today. I just put a link in the chat there for you guys. That is a way to buy an a la carte team. If you click on that link, it's going to take you to a page, and I'll show you exactly what it looks like so no one has any questions there. So this link is going to take you to a page that looks like this. Okay, you got to enter your league. You got to obviously choose what team you want us to review. Make sure your rookie picks are correct by clicking this box. Put your Discord name in, any information you want us to know. Once you click on continue, you'll see Zach and Badaki here selected already. And obviously that's us there. And there's a little continue button on the bottom right. All right, so that's one way to do it. The other way is by being a yearly Mother Flocker member on the site where you get one complimentary. Both of those links are in the description. I think that's the best bang for your buck, but we got a lot of people who love the a la carte service.
Yeah.
All right, first team we're looking at is Sharp Supreme.
Sharp Supreme with Olave Garden, excuse me.
Yep.
Okay. He says, hey, boys, going into our 4th year with our rookie draft in early August, as I'm stuck here with what to do as I'm in the middle of the pack. We just added another flex spot going into this year. We only had one previously, and I'm lacking the additional pieces to make it work competitively. I've been looking at maybe moving Barkley, no takers, Love. You possibly have the 108 in Kamara, and Olave with the 107 and a couple other stuff. My host was to draft Brooks to replace Barkley, and any other help appreciated. Okay. All right. It looks like he does have some context as well in the chat.
Well, he just says he's in the chat, right? He's with us in the chat in the YouTube stream, but you're right. In the chat, he also has some more information. Sorry.
Yeah, it says current draft breakdown from the other owners. 101 to the 103 are pretty set for the other three wide on the three wide receivers. The 104 is a wild card, could be anything. Okay. Shot hard, taking Caleb. 106, either going to be Caleb or best wide receiver. 108, unknown. 109, wants to go quarterback. 110, unknown. Recent trade includes Stafford. The 109. So are these your trades or is it just trades that just happened?
I'm assuming his.
Yeah. Okay. Recent trades include Stafford, the 109, the 208 for the 107, the 207 Swift and Williams. And Williams for
Yeah,
Ertz, the
I don't mind
209.
that deal at
Yeah,
all. I'd be
I don't mind
surprised
that
if we
one.
can get more for Stafford in a one quarterback league.
He said also talked with Kamara and he was asking for Saquon and Kamara in the 108.
For Kamara in the 108. Right. Okay.
Talking with Kamara and he was asking for Saquon and Kamara for Kamara 108.
All right. So this is a start 8-1 quarterback league. So this is the format we've got here. Highlighted in yellow for you guys to see. So you can start 4 wide receivers. You just added the flex spot, which you mentioned. So let's have a look at the team here first. Team name is Olave Garden. You're middle of the pack.
He is kind of middle of the pack. Yeah, ranked 5 here. According to the community. And at the quarterback position, CJ Stroud, Jordan Love, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the quarterback, he clearly the strongest, literally the strongest one in the quarterback ranking. So this is fine. You don't have to worry about that. I understand you trying to move Jordan Love here. So let's wait and see what that looks like. Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard, Kendra Miller, Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowd. The list goes on there. Having Saquon there is great. The QB2, or running back 2, excuse me, is in question. Tony Pollard is interesting with Kendra Miller there as well. I like Rico Dowd as a late little flyer. At the wide receiver position, you can start up to 4. So you have Puka, Olave, JSN, and that's it. It falls off there tremendously. So we definitely need to help you with that extra pick there, or that extra slot.
Evan Ingram at tight end, which is a fantastic tight end to have. I think he's one of the most underrated, disrespected names at tight end. Just finished as a tight end 2 last year, and it feels like no one cares. So, not a bad team at all, but we definitely are missing like those pack-a-punch RB2, wide receiver 3, or 4, if you will, to kind of help us out this year. We have the 107, the 207. We have all of our picks in 2025. I'm going to go ahead and assume we have all of our picks in 2026, but you let us know if that's not the case. So this is fun because we don't get to do it very often at this point of the offseason anymore, but we can have a look at your draft and let's plan out. So let's get a little game plan going. With these draft picks. And now that we've seen this team, I think we should go back and we should look at the offers that are on the table for him and give some feedback on those offers. So he says, I've been looking at trades, moving Barkley, no takers. So for Jordan Love, you can possibly get the 108 in Kamara. If you can get the 108 in Kamara, that's an easy smash. So let's start with that. Let me know if I'm misunderstanding it, but if you can send Jordan Love for Alvin Kamara plus the 108, we don't double think that. We take that in a heartbeat. Like that's a very easy yes in my mind. The other one is
Olave plus the 107 for the 105, 111, 112.
Olave and the 107 for the 105. No, that's a terrible trade.
Yeah.
That trade doesn't make any sense for us. Hey, can I give you the best wide receiver I could possibly, outcome at the 105? And, I'll also give you 2 late first. No way. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Let's see if there's anything else.
The one quarterback. He also said, in the chat, he kind of breaks it down. He says 101 to the 103 are pretty set on the 3. So Marvin, Malik, Rome.
Yes.
104 is a wild card. 105 has shopped harder, but would be taking Caleb.
Okay,
so that's interesting. 106 is either going to be Caleb or best wide receiver.
Okay.
And then you have the 107, 108 unknown.
So by the time the 107 hits, we know that Marvin, Neighbors,
Malik,
Adunze.
Rome. I think that's it.
Caleb is also gone.
That's all we can really confirm. So that means you have the choices potentially of Brian Thomas Jr., Lab McConkey, Trey Benson, Xavier Worthy, Jonathan Brooks, Brock Bowers, this is not a tight end premium, is it? No, it's not a tight end premium.
So if we know 4 of the players who will go before us, that will make it easier to predict who could be there. The 106 is either going Caleb or the best wide receiver. Okay, so we also know the 106. If Caleb's already gone, that means Brian is also probably gone. Okay, so that means we know 5 of the first 7 picks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the guy at the 106 is what we need to know more info, or the 105 could be a wild card. So here's what we know. We know you're going to have an option of Bowers or Brooks. And, we have been ridiculed a lot for going this way, but I don't know if you disagree. I'd still be going Jonathan Brooks.
No. Yeah. I wouldn't disagree there.
Okay. So our preference would be Brooks, but if you end up with Bowers, it's really not like any reason to panic or to be upset. That's still a great pick. I think you can't really go wrong at the 107 between Brooks and Bowers. But actually, knowing that Ladd is there, would you go Ladd or Bowers?
I would go Ladd.
Okay,
personally.
yeah, I think so too.
I would actually try and potentially trade out of that if I could.
If I knew Brooks was there, I would not trade out. I'd take Brooks.
Yes, I guess when it comes down, I would say I would trade out if Brooks is off the board, and then I have the option between Bowers and Ladd, and I would listen to Shop because I do value the running backs here because of his situation. Because if you could trade out of that and then get, something along the lines of a decent trade or a decent player, I might be interested. But it just always really depends on who he can get, which is my biggest concern.
Yeah, the lowest I'd like to trade is like 2 picks down. I'm not sure what you could get to trade 2 picks down, but definitely open to it. I don't really want to fall out of the range of these wide receivers and Bowers and Brooks, but I guess it depends on what offer will be there. But in order for me, it would be Brooks, Ladd, and Bowers. I think Brooks and Ladd both are great picks there, and they fill a potential need. They potentially fill a need for you, right? If Ladd ends up being the player that we think he can be, then between him and JSN, you've got a good, wide receiver 3 and wide receiver 4. If Brooks ends up being who we think he can be, then, you don't need to sell Saquon, and you got Saquon and Brooks that you compete with for the next 2 to 3 years. So I really, really like that. We do see the super chat from Matthew. We will get to that after this team review. And then at the 207, one quarterback. The 207 and a one quarterback would probably be a name like Jermaine Burton for me. A Pearsall. I guess if we're going to do an order, then I'd say Pearsall, like Coleman, Leggett, Burton, Lloyd, Corum are also great picks there. That's the kind of range I think you're in at that pick.
Yeah.
And let's say you do go Brooks.
Available.
If you go Brooks there, I really like the idea of one of these wide receivers as an option. Whoever is the most, whoever's higher in our rankings, which you have access to, you should have access to, I think, on the website. Whoever's higher in our rankings. One of those. And then we can't really tell you exactly with the 405 and the 408, just whoever is the best player available there. Hopefully you've watched some of our streams and you've seen some of those guys that we love in the 4th round, but it really is start throw city at that point, specifically in a one quarterback too. But you got names that come to mind like Kamani Fadal might be there, probably not a one quarterback.
One quarterback, I don't even know if any of those guys will be there. So
names like Tyrone Tracy, Luke McCaffrey, Theo Johnson, Audric Estime.
Maybe. Audric Estime.
Those are
So,
the names in the 4th round you could potentially be looking at.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is great though. I mean, you got some picks that could definitely meet some of the needs of your team. Let's just play out this world. Let's say you got Brooks and you got, I don't know, let's say Leggett. Leggett is very much a wild card, but at least that gives you like a little more depth to your team rather than it being Zay Jones as our wide receiver 3. So if Harrison is here, Harrison, can you please confirm that this deal is on the table for you? Because if it's on the table, we're going to instantly accept it, and we will talk through what you can do with your team after this. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, getting Alvin Kamara on the 108, because that really opens up to more players and more opportunities, meaning like you can either lock in like a lad.
That's
like you had the one
ideal.
Yeah,
right?
lock in a lad or something. You can get Brooks and lad potentially, or Brooks and Leggett.
So let's add in the 108 here. So instead of just Brooks, you also get Brooks and Ladd, and that is a huge game changer for this team. And then you don't really need to rely so much on the 108. And by the way, your flex is already sorted because you've got Alvin Kamara now. You've got Saquon Barkley as your RB1, RB2. You can start Puka, Olave, JSN. And then at flex, you can choose between Tony Pollard. You can choose between Zeke. You can choose between Ladd McConkey. I really, really like that. He says the guy had on the table but backed out.
Would you worth sending a second? Yeah, I'd send that 207.
100%.
No, I mean, I was in the 207, honestly, both 4th, just to get it done.
Let's settle for the 207 and see what they say.
No, for sure, 100%. See what they say. Settle for the 207. See what they say. But if he wants more, add the 4ths. See what happens.
I guess ask yourself this question: would you rather have Brooks and Ladd and Alvin Kamara, or Jordan Love, Brooks, and Leggett? I think the answer is very clearly Alvin Kamara, Brooks, and Ladd. Right. So this is definitely a deal that we want to get done. 100% if he wants that 207, like we'll do that for him, because Love is a movable asset, you know. And to be honest, I wouldn't even mind moving CJ Stroud if it meant I got more in return. But in a 1 quarterback league, the market won't be the same as a Superflex league. But honestly, I feel like that one trade is going to solve a lot of our problems.
Yeah, I would agree. Sorry, just looking at the 207. Is that 207? Surely Pearsall, Leggett are going in the late first, not the 207 in the 1 quarterback.
Sorry,
I'm just thinking. I'm just having a look at it now, because that's kind of where
I just put a range of players that could be there. So
okay. I just wanted to double check,
or 6 names that could be at the 107. That would be the 19th overall pick. So one of those names is going to be available, I believe. Probably not all of them, but I wanted to give as many options to him as possible.
Yeah, give as many options. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Just wanted to clarify.
Can add Jalen Polk into there, obviously, as well.
Yeah, the Jalen Polks, the Adonai Mitchells, the Blake Corms that you have.
Yeah.
The Keon Colemans, for sure, I think will be there.
Outside of that move, I really honestly think the Jordan Love move fixes almost all of our problems at this moment, because we already have Kendre Miller. That is the perfect team to add in Alvin Kamara to. So your starting lineup, if you get this deal done, where you send away Jordan Love in the 207. All right, so you still have CJ Stroud, great, but you're starting Saquon Barkley and Alvin Kamara. You have Alvin Kamara covered up for Kendre Miller. You also get to draft Jonathan Brooks. Great. Your flex spot is more than taken care of at that point with Puka Nacua, Olave, JSN, and then we also add Ladd McConkey. I mean, that is the perfect way. That is one move. It's only one move, but it's the move that, you know, after that, let's ride until the season.
Right into the sunset, brother.
Amen.
Come on. No, this is a great move. I'm trying to think of anything else that we could potentially do for him. But I think
drop
that's
Matt
Collins.
I mean, if you want any help, drop Matt Collins. Drop Royce Freeman. No, like honestly though, like drop these players because when I am being funny, but I'm also being serious, because you want to free up your roster for anyone who isn't drafted. So Freeman is gone. Who else did I say?
You said Freeman.
Matt
You
Collins
said Matt Collins
is gone.
Yeah, I would drop Brock Wright personally, but
Brock Wright, yeah, gone. Who else?
I think everyone else I'm just keeping just to see what happens.
Yeah, most likely everyone else. I mean, Jimmy
Maybe
G
Jimmy
is gone.
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, Jimmy.
These guys are all gone, and the reason they're gone is because, number one, you can let in any free rookies, but let's say you draft 2 names, then we have 2 more spaces to go out and add guys who weren't drafted, right? Some of those names for me this year have been, what's the kid that I love?
Getting undrafted.
Malik Washington.
Malik Washington, Dylan Lobb.
Labe.
You have the dude from the Broncos. What's his name?
Yeah,
I can't remember his name.
Why is my mind
Blake
blanking?
Watson.
Yes.
Blake Watson.
Blake Watson's been one of my favorite ads as well. Whoever you hear camp hype from, just add them right at that point. And we'll probably talk about it on the channel as well. But yes, if you can pull off this Jordan Love move, that is a perfect move for your team, I'd say. Outside of that, though,
any other questions there.
I really don't want to make any other drastic moves. I don't like the Olave deal that you had. That's not great. I don't want to move Saquon because I think if we make the Alvin Kamara move, we can seriously compete. We're already moving Jordan Love. All these other running backs are not worth moving. Tony's not really worth that much. Jason isn't someone that you could sell very easily right now. I want to build around Puka and Olave. So there's no other real obvious move on this deal, in this team, excuse me. So I think that is the main path we would take personally. But yeah, like Badaki said, we want to make sure we answer all your questions, Harrison. So this is your time to shine. If there's something we didn't cover and you want us to cover, something we didn't talk about that you want us to, let us know in the chat right now. Obviously, we want to make sure everyone gets the most bang for their buck, if you will, with these reviews. But I am going to send this to you. Feel free to bookmark this stream. It will never be taken down. But I am going to send this to you now as well, so you have this.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Harrison. Thank you so much for the support. Sending that through, man. It's awesome.
Let's see, and this should be sent to you now. And just while we're waiting to see if Harrison has any last minute questions, just a heads up to everybody watching. If you want your team reviewed, very simple. There's 2 ways to get your team reviewed. Okay, number 1, I just put a link in the chat. That is with our a la carte service. Doesn't matter what promo code you used at sign up. Doesn't even matter if you have signed up yet. You know, you can sign up just for a team review if that's what you like to do. Choose the league, the team, make sure the rookie picks are correct, Discord name, any comments, click continue, and make sure you're choosing Zach and Badaki from the Land Crew. Anyone who buys a team today, we're gonna review it for you today. But yeah. We will move on to the next one. I don't see any comment from Harrison there, so
that's okay. Yeah, we'll move into the next one. Post Mahomes by Leroy Mel. Appreciate you. He said, I won my first championship last year and made some moves to change up my team. As I have had the same core for a while. In general, looking to prioritize long-term building in youth instead of winning now moves unless you see a clear path.
Okay. So yeah, basically he's looking to get younger. But he's open to our thoughts on the team, essentially.
Yeah, and this is a 10-man start 7. No tight end premium. So this is a really small league.
Superflex or 1 quarterback?
1 quarterback, it looks like, not Superflex.
Okay, 1 quarterback, start 7.
Appreciate you, Harrison. Thank you so much again, man.
Appreciate you, man. All right, so yeah, very small league, like Badaki said. Not only is it a 10-man instead of a 12-man, so everyone's rosters are going to be elevated, but you could also only start 7. So yeah, that's a very, very small starting lineup. At max, you can start 3 wide receivers, and it's all going to be about premium players in this league. You know, these later names don't matter as much. His team name is Post Mahomes.
Yeah.
This is a
And looking at it,
ranked
go ahead.
8th, but this is a very even league, is what I was going to say. It's a very even league. Like, this isn't like a
Yeah,
typical someone ranked 8th. It's a lot of, even teams across the board, I'd say.
yeah. So Patrick Mahomes at the quarterback position there, and at the running back, Kenneth Walker and then Zach Moss. I know Zach is higher than Zach Moss than I am this year, but I think the running back does fall a little bit short. As overall, um,
Yeah, I'm
me
very
not being a
curious to
big believer
see.
in Walker, and then not understanding for me is Zach Moss. I guess wrapping my head around the Bengals backfield, essentially what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I feel great about Zach Moss this year. I think I love him on your team. I'm just trying to understand how the startup went with this team, because I think Jamar Chase is probably your first round pick, but I feel like we're lacking some of these premium players.
I
Although
would
he
say,
said he
I would
was looking
say,
towards youth, didn't he?
yeah, he was. He was always looking towards you, which looks like in his draft he did, right?
He's with us, by the way. He says we are in year 7. Okay.
Okay,
I,
so
I I'm trying to understand how this team won the league last year. Have you already made a lot of trades, Leroy?
that's
Let
that's
us know.
that's what I was gonna say. He probably made a bunch of trades to try and get younger. I mean, having Roma Dunze, Lad McConkey on the team, Ricky Pearsall, Benson not on the team. I mean, those in a one quarterback, that is in my eyes 2 first round picks. He had Lad and Ricky. Benson not was probably a mid to late second there, maybe even early second. So yeah, I traded DK Cooper and Najee for Rome and a pick.
Okay.
So you traded DK Cooper and
But we
Najee for Rome
we
and a
still have
pick.
Amari Cooper. So is that a Cooper Cup? DK, Cooper Cup, and Najee for Rome and a pick. That feels a little pricey.
And James Conner for a second.
Okay, for Najee, James Conner in a second, but James Conner isn't here on the team anymore. Interesting. Well, we'll keep assessing the team. Just tell us any trade that you've made since you submitted. But at quarterback, obviously great with Mahomes and Williams. I actually don't even feel like we need
To
Caleb.
do anything.
I
Yeah.
wonder if we can shop him. At running back with Walker and Moss, I really like it. I do think Moss is the guy this year, but obviously it falls off very, very steep after that. At wide receiver, having Chase, Adunze McConkey is great. We have Amari Cooper and Kirk as well as some vets, and at tight end it's Hawkinson. So I like that we're thinking about getting younger. We don't have our second next year. We don't really have
Yeah.
like an excess of draft picks either. So
That yeah, we don't have much to trade to, because the first thing I would say, Zach, correct me if I'm wrong, that we would try and tier up, consolidate, because it's a smaller league, and to get some of these guys to be the heavy hitters or foundational pieces on your team. But you don't have the room to do that
I also
here.
just don't know how comfortable I am with this team competing this year. Just like at quarterback, you're fantastic. But at running back, as much as I like Zach Moss, this could very easily go wrong. And at wide receiver, we're going to rely, I guess, on Amari Cooper, Christian Kirk, and let Adunze and McConkey kind of find their stride. But I imagine in a 10-man start 7 or whatever it is, that's not going to be close to a top 6 wide receiver room. Let me have a look. I mean,
I mean, if you look at
you
the
got
team one, it's hard to compete with that.
Yeah, he's going to be able to start Amon-Ra, Collins, Waddle, Ayuk, Pittman. I mean, yeah, team 2 is going to, start Lamb, Evans. He's a little bit weaker there, but he's got a lot of wide receivers, so he can flex out one of those wide receivers. I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to figure out the direction to go with this team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I
I'm not
mean,
saying it's
there's
a
not.
bad team at all. I'm just trying to figure out the direction. We won't have Hawkinson. If I knew Hawkinson was healthy, that'd be easier as well.
And
But
I guess that's what I was kind of alluding to. Like, I'm not necessarily sure you have the depths for us to make a move or to do anything. You don't even have the heavy hitters outside of Jamar Chase to then make moves. And in reality, you don't even want to move Jamar Chase. You don't want to move Patrick Mahomes. You don't want to move some of these guys because you're in the start 7, which is a smaller league. If this was a start 11, okay, we can sell Jamar Chase and get a 2-for-1s and get some draft capital and continue to rebuild. and look for the future. But we just can't do that here.
All right, let's put together a list of players that you will never trade off your team. All right, start 7. Jamar Chase isn't leaving. There's no world in which I move off of Jamar Chase. I guess you could put Patrick Mahomes there too. I actually am open to moving him, but yeah, I guess it really is just Jamar Chase then. Not that I don't love Patrick Mahomes. It's just like
I think one quarterback is just difficult to move Patrick Mahomes.
It's difficult,
especially
to move
in a 10-man.
But if someone offered me like A-Rich and 3 firsts, I'm definitely taking it. If someone offered me, Jordan Love and 2 firsts, I'm taking it. Kyler Murray and 2 firsts, I'm taking it. So I can't sit here and say like it's an unmovable piece. I don't even think that's realistic to expect in this format. Sure, but yeah, Jamar Chase is really the only guy that I feel like we shouldn't move right now. Man, how did this team win last year with Ken Walker? I mean, who else did we have? We had Najee.
He had DK, Cooper, Najee, which is really difficult to envision because DK didn't have the best year.
Cooper Kupp
didn't have the best year. He had dropped 51 in the semis.
Amari Cooper dropped 51, and that's the beauty of fantasy football. Yeah, look, but Aki's right. There's not a lot of flexibility here, and I think a move that instantly stands out to me is like trying to upgrade at RB2, but then it's like, okay, so how do we get there? Number one, I don't want you to move any of your draft picks because this team, I could very easily see you not making the playoffs this year. Hawkinson, we don't know when he'll be ready. Outside of Jamar Chase, what are we relying on at wide receiver this year? It's a great group long term. At running back, you're one Ken Walker injury away from being like, who do I start?
Well,
right?
That's what I was gonna kind of suggest. Maybe we go to the point where we continue to rebuild. We get capital. Like, can I get a random 25 first for Kenneth Walker?
I wouldn't do that. I would keep Ken Walker in this league.
In this league, you think?
Yeah. Nah, I mean, we might be thinking 2 different directions here then. So why don't you take us away then?
I basically was going to say, like, I'm not necessarily going to be trying to make moves to acquire people. If anything, I'm selling people to then build in the future, right? So the only person I think is worth selling on this team currently, because I want to grow with Lad, I want to grow with Rome, I want to grow with all those guys. For me, I would potentially move Kenneth Walker and get capital. Either get capital in 25 or 26, because that's not necessarily going to help my team. Like, keeping Kenneth Walker is not going to help your team because I guess we see Zach Moss completely different, right? And plus, you don't have the depth to help your team either. So I'm just thinking of potentially getting Kenneth Walker in this 25 class that can help you in the future.
I like the 25 class. I think you're kind of hoping for a Ken Walker, though. As much as I love the class, I feel like that's what you would hope your 25 first would be. A really good starting running back for your team.
Yeah.
So I don't really like the idea of moving him because if you're going to move him, it's probably to one of the best teams. And then you're like, okay, I got the 110 for Ken Walker. I just don't think that's really actually helping this team long term.
I guess let's see. Let's see who's willing to pay that price. But if you can get... But I guess we have to realize that we're not going to be competing anytime soon.
That's okay. It doesn't mean we have to sell it, a good player. We might not be competing this year, but if Rome Odunze takes another step, Lad McConkey takes another step, and then next year, hey, I could add Ken Walker, and now I have the 110 instead. I just don't think that's building the team the way I want to.
Sure. And that's fine. So what were you thinking?
Well, I don't feel like there is an obvious move to be made here.
Okay, so you'll hold all around.
I think at some point there are certain leagues where we can scheme up ideas for you, but it's harmful to maybe make a move. Like, to me, the Ken Walker, he is an obvious, like, okay, yeah, we can move him. I don't think it's going to help you because, like I said, I think the person who buys Ken Walker is competing. And then you're going to get their pick, and it's outside the top 6 in a 1-quarterback league. I mean, think about it. Ken Walker in a 1-quarterback, he's way more valuable than Superflex, especially in this league. I just don't like that idea. And then thinking about tearing down... thinking about tearing down from Jamar Chase, like in that world, that would never happen to me. I would never do that in this format. Rome Odunze, why are we going to move Rome Odunze? He's a rookie. You try to get young. That's the guy that you probably wanted on your team. Same with Ladd McConkey, right? I guess you can look at selling Amari Cooper and Christian Kirk in season. You're not going to move TJ Hawkinson. He's not a sellable asset right now. You know? He says, is it worth trying to trade Amari Cooper or Christian Kirk? Which definitely...
You can.
I don't know what they're worth in this format, but
yeah, and a one quarterback start 7, it's kind of difficult to even.
You have to ask yourself, like,
Superflex.
If you're in a position next year to compete, would you rather have had a 2nd round pick and a start 7, or a guy that like Amari Cooper who could lead a team in targets?
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
I get it. I definitely get the concerns when it comes down to the wide receivers. And I think there are some teams that maybe.
Let me just see if there's a good team that really needs wide receiver help, because maybe we can think of something here. I mean, Island of Misfits is a good team, very bad wide receiver room. So he might actually be a target. I'm wondering if we can find a way into his 1st round pick. Like, for example, if you can get this guy's 1st round pick and it means sending both of those names, would you do it? I think that makes sense. Cooper plus Kirk for that guy's 1st round pick.
Yeah. Okay.
He has the 23 draft class and Island of Misfits. So which team is worse? Definitely don't take the 23 draft class pick. But if Island of Misfits is going to give you his 1st round pick and you give him Amari Cooper and Christian Kirk, then I think that makes sense. 2023 draft class, not 2023 draft class. Okay. Because I don't imagine a scenario you get a 1st round pick for either of those names.
Right. Okay.
Any thoughts? Yes, no?
Cooper, Kirk, and a 25 first. I think so. I mean, once again, if you can get that, sure. Let's see what you can do. I'm happy. I'm happy to take the chance there.
This guy right now
first round pick.
Got Keon Coleman there, Jameson Williams, Josh Downs. You're going to start one of those names potentially. So, yeah, if you can get that done, I think that makes a lot of sense. Bird Gang needs some wide receiver help. Can you find your way into Jonathan Brooks somehow? Can we get a 1st round pick from this player? For example,
I think getting a 1st round. I think I'm just trying to get 1st round picks, baby.
Yeah, Bird Gang as well is another idea. I mean, can you send him Cooper and Kirk and get Jonathan Brooks? Who are the running backs on our team? We got Zach Moss, right?
Yeah, just Zach Moss.
He's probably not going to send you Brooks, actually, looking at his team. But can you get a Leggett? And no, you're pushing it there. I'm trying to look at another team that makes a lot of sense for you, but it's difficult when selling players that aren't like huge needle makers is difficult in this league. Needle movers,
especially in the start 7, because they're probably not valuing them as high and saying, when the hell am I going to start them? And I'm giving up a 1st.
Does anybody desperately need quarterback? How about the guy who has Trevor Lawrence and Bo Nix? Maybe we can look at quarterback with him. I mean, the 2nd worst team at quarterback has Kyler Murray. So you're going to be very limited. I know someone said you absolutely need to tear down from Mahomes. In a start 7-10 man, everyone's going to have a good quarterback. I just don't know how possible that really is in a 1 quarterback league. Right?
Yeah.
You go through it. This guy's starting Kyler. Perfect. This guy's starting A-Rich. Great. Love or Daniels. Joe Burrow or Purdy. Lamar Jackson.
Sure. Yeah.
Stroud or Dak. Jalen Hurts or Justin Herbert. Josh Allen. I just don't see an obvious team to tear down to. and a one quarterback going to be more difficult. But if you can send Caleb Williams to this team, like I wonder, like a Caleb Williams, George Pickens type of deal.
Okay. We're building here.
I want to probably add a second onto this to my side, and I'll send you a third. Caleb and a third for Pickens in a second.
Okay.
I mean, in an ideal world, you make this a first, but I just don't think that's going to happen. If the guy is obsessed with the hype of Caleb, then maybe, but I just don't think it's realistic. Obviously, you try Pickens in a first for Caleb in a second, but you settle for Caleb in a third for Pickens in a second. I like that. And this guy has a decent wide receiver room. He can make a move like that. Pickens is a guy I think has a chance to really improve his value this year. So, I mean, if you make a move like that, you still got Mahomes and Stafford, but now you got Chase, Pickens, Odunze, McConkey. I mean, that puts you in a position where you can actually compete with a young team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just I'm okay with that trade because you're still getting a young asset there when it comes down to George Pickens since you have Patrick Mahomes. So I'm okay with something like that.
I'm not going to lie, Leroy. This is one of the more difficult ones to assess recently. Not because it's a bad team at all, but just because we always want to give people value, but sometimes we'll force it, like we never want to just force it to be like, yeah, make this move. Sometimes the best move for people's dynasty teams is like, hey, clearly you've already made some moves because you got Odunze and McConkey on your team. And Ben Sinnott, like Ricky Pearsall. Sometimes you can overcorrect as well and make too many moves.
Yeah, I'm not in love with not that I'm not in love with your team, but I'm not in love with the depth that you have that we can't make move, which makes it really unfortunate. But Zach is right. We want to help, but sometimes it's too much or not enough.
I guess I want to know from you, Leroy, any questions that you have that we weren't able to cover well enough. And it's your time to shine, so anything's available to you. What's up, Chef? Welcome in. What's up, Scribbles? What's up, Styles?
How we doing, guys?
Appreciate y'all.
Hope you're doing all right, man.
But let's just go through it one last time, okay? Caleb, we talked about potentially trading for a young wide receiver because we have Mahomes. We talked about Mahomes. Tearing down from him is going to be almost impossible because there's really only one team that might consider it. I mean, would you tear down with that team if they gave you Garrett Wilson? Would you do Garrett Wilson and a first for, I guess that is an option. You bet on Caleb Williams here, right? If you send Mahomes plus a second and try and get Garrett Wilson and a first, I just don't even think that's possible. I think if you do this move, it has to be straight up. And I'm not even sure that works. They might start asking for more assets, and I just don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, that seems difficult to kind of maneuver there with Mahomes, especially in the one quarterback league there. Leroy says, I'm all set. I appreciate you both taking a look. My vision was to just sit and play it out. Yeah. I want to see what you guys have and any other opinions. Yeah, and I don't think sitting and waiting out is bad either, because then that gives you more of a direction, because there is a lot of sitting and waiting for this team. You need to see what Zach Moss is going to do with Rome, Ladd, Ricky. I mean, hell, you got to see what freaking Amari Cooper is going to do with Deshaun Watson, even though there's hope. Same thing with Christian Kirk now with Brian Thomas Jr. There. So there's a lot of waiting on this team, seeing how these guys are going to perform. And if they do hit, then that's exactly what you're hoping for.
Yeah,
of course.
I agree. So, yeah, he says, I appreciate it. We appreciate you, Leroy. Thank you for the support. We appreciate y'all big time. All right, we are going to go on to the next team. I will send you this whiteboard. But the number one thing I would tell you is you're not moving Jamar Chase in this league. Right? He's staying home. He's never leaving the squad. because the way your format is set up, there's just not a trade out there that would make sense. He says, I did a big tier down pre-draft to get younger. Traded Mike Williams for the 301 this year. Try to get younger overall, which makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
All right, we are going to go on to the next team. If you're watching this and you want your team reviewed, it's very simple. I'll put a link in the chat for you. If you're watching it later, you can check out the pinned comment. But very simple. That link that I just sent you, doesn't matter who you're supporting on the Flock Fantasy site, whether it's code, Flock, domain, FSE. You can still get a team review from us with the a la carte service. Choose your league, choose your team, make sure the correct picks are there. Your Discord, your username, click continue, and it's the land crew with Zach and Badaki that you want to make sure is selected. The other option, which Badaki and I still think is the best bang for your buck, is by becoming a yearly Mother Flocker member. All right, because you get a complimentary team review when you become a yearly member.
That's right.
And that is the second link in the description that you'll find. Just flockfantasy.com/land, signed up, become a yearly Mother Flocker member. You'll get all the premium tools, everything on the website, rankings, unlock the Discord channel, and of course you will also get a team review for just being a member. Last thing I'll say is this. Badaki and I, up to this point, just so you guys know, we have never hired anyone out to do anything for us at any point, right? I mean, from the beginning of Fantasyland to Dynastyland, it's been Badaki and I, right? We wear a lot of hats is what we're trying to say. Badaki's our graphic designer. I'm our video editor. I'm our accountants, right? We do admin. We think about anything that goes into this, brainstorming, creating the draft guide, right? Think about anything that we do here on the channel and on both of our channels, all the content that we create. That has always been Badaki and myself since the beginning. We are getting to a point where we feel like we could potentially hire a video editor. That is one thing that we really want to do. Just so you guys know, the only reason we're even able to have that conversation is because of the support from you. Every
That's
time
right.
you sign up to the Flock Fantasy website, every time you do a super chat, even little things like watching our videos all the way through and hitting the like button and subscribing to the Fantasyland football channel, the redraft one. Anytime you buy a team review, a membership, you are actively helping this grow. You're actively helping us get better at what we do. So just so you guys know, our goal in the next couple of years is to hire people to just make this channel as best as it possibly can be, to produce the best possible content for you guys. And that is by potentially freeing up our time and having people help us out, which is awesome. So we want to say a big thank you to everyone out there who has supported us. And just so you know, anytime you do sign up, there is more at stake, right? And at stake is just like us being able to produce better content. So we appreciate you all big time.
Huge love.
We're going to get into this next team review, but we did have a super chat from Matthew. 12-team
Thank you so
Superflex,
much, Matthew.
start 10, traded my 107, 207 for the 101, 701, and the 801. So this is a startup, obviously.
Yeah, traded my 107, 207 for the 101, 701, and 8. QBs and Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Young. Turned his pick into Jonathan Brooks and Hollywood Brown.
I just spilled water everywhere. Give me a second.
No, you're straight. I mean, look, I don't mind what you got personally. You're getting Josh Allen. So you send the 107, the 207 for the 101, the 701, and the 801. Josh Allen, Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young. I'm okay with this because of Josh Allen and how big that was. Obviously, you not having that second round pick was probably a big, it probably hurt your team, but you got an extra 7th and you got an extra 8th. And in those rounds, there's still some good values there in a dynasty startup. So, I'm okay with this trade. I wonder what Zach would say, but I think this is a good trade for you, Matthew. And I wonder who that 108, that 701 and that 708 was for you. Because I'm assuming you got Josh Allen at the 101, of course. Trevor Lawrence, you probably got in the 3rd round. Bryce Young, maybe you got in the 5th or 4th round. in that startup there. So I think that's a decent trade for you. So appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so much.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
I don't know what
You're
you
good.
said, but for me, I feel like it's giving up way too much in a startup.
I actually said I thought it was fine because I actually don't mind the 107. I don't mind getting the 701 and the 801 because I think there's some good value there. And the fact that he got Trevor Lawrence and Bryce Young, I did mention that 207 was probably pretty significant that you lost, and whoever that was. The 207 was Wilson. So you gave up Lamar Jackson and Garrett Wilson. But I actually think in a startup, in my eyes, the 701 and the 801 are pretty good values and where you can potentially get some good people there, depending on obviously who falls. But that's all hypothetical. But I said I was okay. I was okay with the trade in my eyes.
I really like the 107 and the 207 part of this deal personally. I still think at the 107 you would be able to acquire a really good quarterback, and then at the 207. Like, the 207 versus the 701 and the 801 are just two different stratospheres as far as value in my mind. So I would rather have stuck with, like, a Kyler, a Joe Burrow at the 107, or whatever it was. He said the 107 was Lamar. That makes it even worse.
Yeah, it was Lamar. It was Lamar and Garrett Wilson, he said.
Yeah, I would much rather have Lamar and Garrett Wilson than Josh Allen, Brooks, and Hollywood Brown. So I guess if you want honesty, I just think I just don't think that's the kind of deal I would want to do in a startup, getting the 107 and the 207.
Appreciate the super chat, man. Chef said, "Man, respect for all the hard work you guys do, you guys put in while still being a positive influence for this space. If you guys has ever had help with writing episodes, ideas, etc., I got the resume ready. Hey, we appreciate you, Chef. We're looking for a data person. I think Zach put that out. Somebody to accumulate a lot of data, historical data when it comes down to positional values and, startups or rookies, hits, things that Zach is kind of doing on the back end right now. Maybe somebody can do, and then for us that can free up a little bit more time. Yeah. So obviously Zach.
We got a good friend as well, Kyle, who is working on a huge database for us, which is going to absolutely change the way we view prospects in the next coming years. But lots of exciting things, hopefully. Chasing says you guys do a ton at shows, most personal duo in the game. I appreciate you. Appreciate you big time.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Like we said, if you want your team reviewed, very simple. I'll put a link in the chat for you. But yes, last team review today.
Back to the Future. Appreciate you. Details are, hey guys, wanted to start off by saying thank you for the content. No worries. Each channel from the Flock site helps me out big time in my Dynasty draft. I have a few years of redraft experience, but new to Dynasty game. Startup ended about 3 weeks ago, so open to any suggestions moving forward for my Dynasty team. He also put in the chat, it's a 12-team Superflex start 9 half PPR, 0.75 tight end premium. He traded DeAndre Swift and a 25 second for Nico Collins. And then he said thoughts on upgrading a tight end.
I like the Nico Collins trade. I love that.
I love the Nico Collins trade, no question about it. And Dak is here, by the way.
Love to see it.
So it looks like it's RJ. Okay, so we'll have a look at your team here, brother. Appreciate you and your support.
12-team start 9. So we are looking at this type of lineup here, which means he can start 4 wide receivers. There's a tight end premium of 0.75, like he mentioned. So just important things to remember as we get to.
We got a triple tower.
Yeah.
This is our first triple tower.
This is the alternate reality in which all those towers stayed and they built an extra one.
Gosh, shout out to Tower 3.
Sorry, the first tower. All right. We have to stop. It's not funny. At what point though can you start joking
New York.
about it?
I'm from New York. You actually shouldn't be saying that. No, that's actually not funny.
One of my best friends, by the way, I found out in a really awkward way. Okay, I probably shouldn't tell this story. This is like so unprofessional. Okay, whatever. All right. I would say my best friend, one of my best friends. He was in my wedding. He was in my line. Okay. And we did a lot of video editing together. We did a lot of projects together, right? And he had this little notebook that he would like write out ideas on and stuff. And there was like one time, God, I don't even know what. Maybe I should go see someone. Maybe there's something.
It's
wrong
just
with me.
how about this? Before we
picture.
preference this, there's a lot of dark humor in our lives, and we understand sometimes that we take it overboard, and we acknowledge that. So we apologize in advance. But we just want to be honest and transparent with who we are, instead of being living two different lives and being, I'm all holy behind the camera. When in reality, take or leave it. No.
So we're scheming up our next project. You know, we both record a lot, camera work, video editing. All right, we got this notebook. He's working on a project, and I'm just sketching away. No idea that he has a history of 9/11. Okay, sketching away, and draw the towers, drawing the plane, and I'm like, "What do you think?" And that is the moment I find out one of my best friend's uncle died at 9/11. It was really, really rough, and I felt really bad, and it was like, you know what? I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Like 90% of the people I know are cool with 9/11 jokes. I should have known. I should have known one of my best friends better.
And the reason why 90% of people were cool about it is because we lived in Australia.
Yeah. I don't know. At what point can you joke about 9/11 though? Is it like free game in America now? I don't know. Okay. Anyway.
Well, to be fair, what's his name jokes about it, and his dad died in 9/11. Pete Davidson.
Okay. Well, he is also a comedian.
Yes, he does that professionally.
All right, we should move on. Before we get canceled.
Back to the Future. We appreciate the sign up here. It is a Superflex, our first Superflex of the night. Start 9 with the tight end premium, by the way. Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Russell Wilson, the list goes on there. I think this quarterback room is decent. It's not heavy hitter, but I think it's a good quarterback room, no question. At the running back, you have Kyron Williams, Jonathan Brooks, Aaron Jones, Tajay Spears, and that list goes on as well. I think this is a good running back room as well. I'm not a big believer in Aaron Jones, but we can talk about that a little bit later. How many wide receivers you can start in this lineup here?
4.
You can start up to 4. CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins, Scary Terry, and then you have Troy, and once again the list goes on there. So I like your starting 4. I think getting Nico Collins in this lineup here is really helpful. And I would say your weakest position is probably your tight end room, even though Dallas Goedert is being disrespected in the community, but still, it's still your weakest room.
Have I released that video yet about Dallas? No,
that's coming out tomorrow, I think.
Yes, tomorrow. Yeah, people would be surprised if they knew Dallas Goedert hasn't finished outside the top 12 in like the last 5 years in points per game. He's very undervalued. I like it. If I have Dallas Goedert, I'm not panicking at tight end. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm okay.
Dallas Goedert.
So oddly enough, I actually think your quarterback room is your weakest position personally when I look at your team. Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, these are all guys I'd really rather have as my quarterback 2 rather than my quarterback 1 and kind of rotating in between them. They're not bad names at all. They're startable assets. Sure. But I think they are more like those quarterback 2s I want to build on rather than my quarterback 1. I think you might be one of the weaker quarterback rooms in your league, right? I mean, Jordan Love and Tua and Levis, I'd rather have that.
Apparently the weakest quarterback room is Brock Purdy and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
BS.
Kyler, Caleb, Watson, rather have that. Burrow, Dak, and Geno, rather have that. So I think quarterback is probably where you are weakest. But the rest of your team is so strong that that's okay. Like, this actually kind of reminds me of a team that I won a championship in last year, which is the Kilo League. And my quarterbacks aren't the best, but my positional, strengths are there. I got Baker Mayfield and Deshaun Watson, Geno Smith, Bryce Young. But I've got Achane, AJ Brown, Olave, Laporta, Waddle. On the bench, we've got Rice. So it kind of feels a little bit similar to a team like that where, if Kyron Williams is who he was last year, you'll be chilling. CeeDee Lamb is number 1 wide receiver in football last year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins, it feels like your positional your wide receiver running backs could potentially carry this team, and all you need is Goff and Lawrence to get you somewhere around 15 to 17 points per game. So yeah. But what moves we might make? I mean, first thing I would say is the move that you did for Nico Collins, really well done.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't understand how that was possible, but really, really well done.
It's basically suggesting to move forward in my first Dynasty season here, and what can you do to either to get better or to obviously improve your team. I'm not necessarily sure there's something that you can do unless you pivot off of tearing down. That was my first thought.
Here's what's difficult. When you just finish a startup, it's going to be difficult to make a lot of like important moves in most leagues. Not every league is the same, but you just finish your startup. I'd say most people are going to be happy with their teams. You might find a couple people who are unhappy and they're trying to make moves, but post startup, I find, is one of the more difficult times to make like significant moves. Especially if it was like a slow draft and you got people making moves inside the draft. Most people probably would have shaped their team the way that they would have wanted to. So Trevor Lawrence, Jared Goff, Russell Wilson. It's a fine room. I wonder who has Justin Fields, and can we sell them? They actually desperately need Russell Wilson. So that is probably the first trade idea I'm going to bring up. Can we send Russell Wilson to, what is this team name? Mobley 87.
Mobley.
And I want to find out if we can somehow get this guy's first round pick. Now, it's clearly not going to be Russ as the only part of the deal. But can we finesse our way into a first round pick by adding something else? So Russell Wilson and like Terry McLaurin is a fine start. Okay. I love Terry, but I think we both would do this. Instead of Terry McLaurin, what if we give him Russell Wilson and Aaron Jones?
Yep, I'm with you.
I think I would even do Russell Wilson and Tajay Spears. I think Tajay Spears is overvalued in the community.
I agree.
But I think we can get more back in this one. So a first and... Could you get Jalen Wright, maybe? If you can, great. If not, we'll give other options. If not, Jalen Wright... maybe a Jermaine Burton or Roman Wilson.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's not a bad idea
Roman.
there.
I like Roman there, yeah.
He says Josh Allen manager talked about trading him for Goff plus 2 first, but backed out. Yeah, I don't know that your team is really in a position to do that. I guess you kind of are, but yeah, that would be a tough one. It's not there anymore, so we don't need to think on it too much, but that would be a difficult one. But this guy, at the moment, he has no starting quarterback too. So I think you almost got him in a bind. And actually, I almost want to see like if there's a way we can add Evan Ingram into this deal as well. So for example, I think in all these deals, if we can add Evan Ingram, it's ideal instead of the current structures. So let me highlight all these in orange as like your secondary options. Highlight all these in green. And all we're going to do is we're going to add Dallas Goedert. And we're going to add what you receive. Ingram.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So again, we'll add Goddard to that side. I do think Goddard's undervalued, but I do think Evan Ingram can lead tight ends and targets again this year like he did last year. So option 1, option 2, 1 in green, 1 in orange. All right. I guess I'm freaking cooking already.
Yeah, I mean, you got 6 options from 1. There you go. Come on, baby. Talk it up.
Kyron Williams he's almost plateaued. You and I brought out a video before the draft and we said potentially we should look at selling Kyren Williams before the draft. I think at this point, I think it's just worth holding him and seeing what happens.
Yeah, I mean, currently in the community right now, according to Keep Trade Cut, running back 9, not that many people wanting to move on from him. At one point in time, he was RB7 before the draft, before the signing of Saquon, before we really understood what was happening. So yeah, I think it's best to stay put.
Yeah.
Unless you can get somebody along the lines of,
Why don't
you
we
know,
throw out
I
some of
mean,
those names then? I mean,
I think I'm happy to pivot. Like, can I go from Kyron to Saquon? Kind of go from Kyron to Etienne? Kind of go from Kyron to Brooks and something?
well, he's already got Brooks, but
Um, yeah, sure. I think that's kind of where I feel comfortable. I don't want to tear down to Jacobs. I don't want to tear down to, unless you feel really comfortable with Derrick Henry and you can get Derrick Henry plus something in return.
yeah, I like that.
I'm not.
So what about
But
Kyren and a second for Henry and a first?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Something like that will be really, really exciting, and I feel more comfortable with Derrick Henry. Obviously, you just released your dark horse, that dark horse video, which I was technically supposed to be on, but my voice shit itself. But Derrick Henry is definitely somebody that I would have backed you on there.
So I
Being
like
a
the
dark horse RB1.
I like the idea of pivoting from a Kyren to an ETN or an HN. I don't like Saquon for this roster as much. Just
Sure,
giving my
sure.
2 cents there. I like
And
the idea
that's
of staying
fine.
young. So I like Etienne and Saquon, or sorry, Etienne and HN. I don't like the Saquon one so much, but I can understand why you might like that as well.
Yeah, yeah. So tearing down from Kyron there and making those moves, maybe selling him to the Blake Corum dude. Who has Blake Corum out of curiosity? And what does he have? Well, he doesn't have
Yeah,
anything.
he's got.
Never
It looks
mind.
like he. Okay, I don't. I honestly don't know what this guy did in his startup because he's. I thought maybe he would have a ton of draft picks, but I guess
I mean, this guy might be somebody you want to trade with, though. That might be an early first.
I would send. Okay,
What about
how
what would
many
you do?
starters? We have
What you
4
do?
starting wide receivers. I almost wonder if you can go from Kyron to Olave. I would do that personally.
Yeah, yeah. Kyron to Olave, I like that idea. I was thinking of just even like doing. I mean, maybe you can get more, but my first instant thought was like Alvin plus a first and something. That's a real tear down.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea as
But
well.
you can get a first and something potentially.
If you can get Alvin in a first, I think that's easy, especially if it's this guy's first. I don't really
Yeah.
know what he's doing with his team. But I'd like to get Kendre along with Alvin if possible. So can we throw him Kyren and Chuba, but you want to cover Chuba off? Can we throw him Kyren and Likely? Perfect. He's got Mark Andrews.
Yep.
So if you can, ideally you get Kyren. You send Kyren and Likely for Alvin Kamara.
This guy blow my nose,
and
and I have
Kendre.
to go get some tissues. I'll be back.
Okay. So again, just cooking up deals for you. Personally, I am not selling CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, or Nico Collins. We're building around those names. And at tight end, I don't mind keeping Goddard. I think he's underrated, but he's not going to catch as many passes as some of these other tight ends that have 0.75 premium. Yeah, I was thinking that as well, Styles. Maybe send an offer for Andrews or McBride. I mean, can you send him... Can we work up a deal where we send Kyren plus Goddard for Alvin and McBride? Or Andrews, actually. So we're going to send you Kyren and Goddard for Alvin and McBride, but we need to add something to this deal to make it more intriguing to that owner. So we can add A Tajay or an Aaron Jones? Does that get you in the building? I don't know, but you could try that. So Kyron Goddard and Tajay or Aaron Jones for Alvin Kamara and McBride or Andrews. I really love that deal for you. Especially considering it's a 0.75 tight end premium. I'm just looking it through quickly. Yeah. But anyway, I think those are really the main options for this team. I would be open to spending first round picks on this team if by week 7 I know Jonathan Brooks is actually really freaking good. I've got Kyron still or whatever. I got a really good running back room. My wide receivers are producing. Like, I wouldn't mind, as we're heading into the playoffs, sending a first and Trevor for, you know, a top 6 quarterback, for example, right? To really put me over the top there. But at the moment, right here, right now in the offseason, I think I'd rather wait and
yeah, I agree.
And see. But I think those are the main options I'm thinking through. I wonder, do you have anything else? Or let's see if RJ has any other questions in the chat before we end it.
Yeah, let us know if you have any other questions. I think from what we have here is pretty great, especially with your team just trying to tear up, maybe add another running back, keeping your wide receivers, getting another wide receiver at some point, depending on who that is. But yeah, I think it's a great team so far.
Yeah, same. He says, I'm all good. Thank you, guys. Okay, great to hear, my man. We will send you awesome. This whiteboard over on the Flock Fantasy site, so you'll have access to this. Let's see here. Where are you? Let's go back. And yeah, let me see here. Let me add this. All right, you are good to go, my friend. That will be there. You can save this live stream. You can bookmark it, and obviously you can save that screenshot. So the live stream will never go offline. It will always be available to you. But that's probably it for today, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys.
The only other thing that I would say is make sure you go check out our redraft channel. Even if you only play Dynasty, I still think there's a ton of value over here on the redraft channel. So go check that out. I'll put a link there in the chat. We're going to be releasing a ton of content leading up to the season. We've already started releasing content. We'll be doing live streams as well, where we obviously do like mock drafts with you guys. But yeah, and by the way, K-Pop says, oh, I was next. Yes, next time you will be up first, K-Pop. If anybody is watching this and they want their team reviewed, there is a link in the description, also in the chat. A la carte store is an option, as well as being a yearly member where you get a complimentary review. Am I missing anything?
No, we appreciate you. Once again, go subscribe. A lot of cool things and exciting things happen in the next month or two. That I'm not sure what we can say as of yet, but definitely an announcement will be made here probably very soon, which will be exciting. So
yes, very excited for.
We're pumped about it.
Some things happening, but all right, we appreciate you. Thanks for joining us. Hit that like button, and we'll see you soon. All love, guys.